Hi guys, what's up, what's down, what's sideways? James here for Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, my friend, my enemy, my constant companion, day 91 for 90. Yes, I missed day 90. Can't remember why. I had a reason at the time. But I have forgotten it. So I was thinking about things to talk about, and I keep doing this where I'll talk about this. And then I'm like, I better write it down. And then I forget to write it down, and then I forget about the thing that would have been really good to talk about. Um, what I thought I'd share is, good news. Some people on the support network, the support groups. I've actually found two or three people now, actually asking about what can I do for exercise with chronic fatigue syndrome. And it wasn't the, oh whaley whaley. It was the, hey guys, I want to move, I want to do some form of exercise, what's some suggestions? And it was really good. It was good to see that people are actually asking, like, how do I resolve this challenge? How can I deal with this challenge? How can I, move forward with this challenge? And it was really good to see. I'll admit that I didn't go through the comments too much, because as soon as I started seeing the comments, the comments are fun. And this is from people with chronic fatigue syndrome as well. Like, the comments range anywhere from, I'm still stuck in bed, I can't do anything. Like, that's not what they were asking about. They weren't asking about, what do you, like, what can't you do, is like, what can we do, is what we're trying to find out. So you get a lot of those, and then people start like, oh yeah, I haven't slept, so I can't do it, or I do it and I crash afterwards, and I'm like, oh, it's the complete opposite of what we needed for that wonderful question. But then you can get the people who start saying things like, oh yes, I do qigong exercises, and that really helps me, and like, you should do it, you need to unlock the power of the universe, or I do rah, 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 and they start sounding like those people who try and push cures onto us, the sucker frog whilst dancing underneath the light of a full moon. They start getting quite kind of inventive sometimes. Not knocking qigong. Qigong, if you don't know, is basically energy work, breath work. So it's Chinese qigong is Chinese in origin, and it's basically just mindful breathing practice, and you can do it either stationary or seated. I can do it now talking with you. So it's quite common in a lot of martial arts, even though it might be called something different in different martial arts. It's quite a common common part of training. Even if they don't realize that that's what they're training. So the reason I mentioned that was because sometimes qigong can have a bit of a fantastical, fantasy-like connotation sometimes. So any mindful breathing synchronized with movement, regardless of whatever you call it, will help any human being. But it's not the cure-all to chronic fatigue syndrome. It is good if you've got chronic fatigue syndrome, because it's very low impact. Whoops, pattern interrupt. It's very low impact, and it can be as intense or low impact as you want it. So, people like to go on about how good Tai Chi is, and it's not necessarily Tai Chi per se, like the movements, because they're pretty much just gross motor skills. But it's the connection of the breathing and the body work with the mindful integration of both, and then working on subtle internal body mechanics, shifts and stuff like that. So you could get the same benefit from doing Tai Chi by applying the principles to any form of movement really, if you understood the principles and how to apply them. So people start looking for these fantastical movement cures and stuff like that. But regardless, so Qigong and Tai Chi is good, if you get a good teacher. So it was good to see, people asking like how can I positively move forward and handle this challenge as opposed to like the whaley whaley. I just wanted to share that piece of good news. My thing I wanted to share today was like if you don't have chronic fatigue syndrome, and so this is my own personal experience. I'm sure I've seen others say that they've got it, but I won't speak for them. So, this morning, my sleep was interrupted, and my body hadn't woken up, and so this can occur if the sleep is interrupted, and by interrupted, I'm not aware of the interruption about to happen. So sometimes I'm aware that the interruption is about to happen. Can't explain how. And other times it's like it's a shock. The problem with the shock is that it doesn't necessarily wake my body up. My brain, like I could be there thinking about a complex mathematical equation, and I can't wake my body up. My body's still in that sleep stage. And I understand it has to do with chemicals and hormones and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But it's outside of having your sleep interrupted, that can happen where you wake up, but your body doesn't wake up with you. And you can be anything from sluggish to physically can't open your eyelids, or it's not that you can't move, it's not sleep paralysis, it's just like your body it feels like it's still asleep. It feels very heavy. Movement is sluggish and kind of like the very gross motor skill, like very and stuck there, and your brain's like do 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 do, and your body's not quite matched up where your brain is. So it's like sleep paralysis, except that you can move your body. It's just awkward, heavy, that kind of thing. In sharing this with you, I realize that a lot of people with CFS will have they'll say like that their body takes a while to wake up and stuff like that. But it's just like this morning I was experiencing it where my sleep was interrupted quite abruptly, and I was shaken out of it. And what happened was I was shaken out of it enough to take about 30 seconds of action. I took a 30-second to a minute phone call, and then it all caught up with me, and as soon as I pressed the finish phone call, I crashed, and my body was like, no, you're not moving now. So my brain's like, oh, okay, well, I'm awake, but my body was very not. And I was still feeling sleepy, and I was still feeling it's this awful kind of, not sleepy, I was feeling tired. It's like, yeah, it's this weird tired kind of like, it would have taken me more energy to try and wake myself up from that than it would have to have gone back to sleep and then come back out of it. So I was just lucky I didn't have any appointments in the morning. I was able to not worry too much and just let myself go back to sleep, so then I could come back and wake out of it. The times in my life where I've just woken up naturally, my body's still being like that, and I've got somewhere to go, those are a pain to deal with, because for quite the longest time you feel like you're playing catch up. You like your body's just not firing. Nothing is firing. And yes, I've tried sleep helping medication and stuff like that because of hormones and the one melatonin. The one that so our brain releases a hormone which stops us moving in our sleep. Otherwise, we'd act out our dreams and stuff like that. So that can sometimes be affected, which is people have restless sleep is because their body's not producing enough of that, and so they're tossing and then they're turning. Their brain hasn't released enough of that to stop their body from moving, and then your sleep paralysis can sometimes be when like you wake up, but that hormone's still in effect. Like I can't move because your brain's put your body to sleep, so it doesn't jerk around while you sleep. So you can take medication for that, and like that doesn't do anything. If anything, it makes for a very strange, unpleasant sleep sometimes, if it affects me. Otherwise, it doesn't affect me at all. So that's something about like living with chronic fatigue syndrome is, being awake while your body's asleep, and this can be during the day as well. Like I've felt my body falling asleep while I'm awake. I've gone to work asleep, which is a really weird feeling. Like I'm awake, but I'm asleep. So fun times, fun times. Anyway, thank you very much for letting me share with you day 91 for 90. If you've got any questions or you'd like to comment or introduce yourself, do so below. I will reply. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, hit the little notification button, and I look forward to the next video.